Skye Squad, we are back in the building and we got to discuss last night's episode of The Real Housewives of Potomac, Season 5, Part 2 of this crazy, wild reunion. And y'all already know, as the thumbnail and the title suggest, we have Andy, Cohen gaslighting Monique, and The Real Housewives of Potomac producers exposing that. Oh yes. So, for those of you guys who may be unfamiliar with the term gaslighting, let's really go over what it means real quick before we dive into the video, okay? So, gaslighting is a form of emotional abuse that's seen in abusive relationships. Gaslighting is the act of manipulating a person by forcing them to question their thoughts, memories, and the events occurring around them. A victim of gaslighting can be pushed so far that they question their own sanity. Now, how does this relate back to what we saw last night? Well, as evidenced by the footage and as what we saw at the reunion, Andy, Gizelle, Wendy, Robyn, and Candiace were all telling Monique that certain events that she remembers happening did not happen. They were adamant that it didn't happen. And Andy, being sort of the ringleader of this group, actually was right on board with the gaslighting last night. And he even did so on Watch What Happens Live as well. He denied that the footage showed anything that Monique had to say about the incident as it occurred from her vantage point, okay? Then the Real Housewives of Potomac producers came in with footage that showed that Monique described the events exactly as they occurred. What they showed in the footage corroborated exactly what she said. It was the wildest thing ever. And then Andy got on Watch What Happens Live and basically denied that the footage showed any of what she said. It was crazy. And it's odd. It's just dumbfounding to me. But we'll get into that more as we get into the actual happenings of the reunion. Now, for those of you guys who may be new to the channel, what we do here on our reviews and our recaps is we talk about what we would rate the actual episode itself. And I want you guys to rate it for me right here and right now. For me, I'm going to give it a 7.5. I'm going to give it a 7.5 mostly because, you know, obviously it wasn't as climactic and as dramatic as the first part of the reunion. Well, at least the last 6 minutes of the first part of the reunion, because I feel like the Jamal situation went to a dead end, and we'll discuss that in just a second. But I also feel like, you know, it was just frustrating to watch, you know, as the cast really sort of united in a frustrating way to gaslight Monique into thinking that she did not see what she actually saw when the incident occurred. As if this woman probably hasn't gone over and over this footage to see what happened, what triggered her, and why she reacted the way that she reacted. I don't understand why they think that their recall and their memory is actually better than what the footage actually shows. And I'm not even sure why Andy Cohen denied that, but it was just so frustrating to me to watch. So I had to take away a couple of points for that, okay? And not only that, but Jamal Bryant told us that we were going to see Chris Samuels this episode, and we only saw him in passing, okay? We thought that we were going to see per Jamal, we thought that we were going to see Chris Samuels allegedly going at Gizelle and Robyn. We did not see that in this episode. And so I got to take away some points because we did not get what we were promised, okay? So, let's move on. All right, so let's get down into the episode, shall we? We're back in the hot seat with Gizelle, and she is denying that anything is wrong with her and Jamal. She is...
Yeah, we're good. Oh my God, we're so good.
We're good. And then, you know, Candiace astutely observes, well, he should have just been here so that he could talk and say these things himself, okay? Now, this is where I stand firmly with Candiace. The man should have been there, okay? The man should have been there to defend himself and to stand by his woman since they are allegedly back together. That would have made this whole storyline seem that much more worth the while. And Gizelle states that she is being transparent about her relationship and her marriage and what happened and that they're good. The older I get, the less that this bothers me. Now, here's the thing. Andy asks, well, when you speak with him tonight, how's that gonna go? And Gizelle's like, fine. And I'm thinking to myself, lie. Okay, because at the end of the day, here's the thing. If another woman comes on national television and is telling you that your man has been texting another woman and got photos of him in the bed and the boudoir and whatnot while you were together, the fact that she is saying that she's fine with this is very telling to me. And so I had a number of revelations tonight, and this was one of them. The first being, if Gizelle had just chosen some other person for this storyline, this would be so much more believable, okay? She should have just gone the route of choosing another suitor to appear with her on this show for the sake of having somebody in her corner and standing behind her, okay? That's what she should have done. Now, the fact is, she didn't. She chose her baby's daddy, okay? Fine if you want to do that. But at the end of the day, what this revealed to me is that one of two things is possible. One, she is trying to get back with this man, and she don't care what he do, okay? Similar to Michael and Ashley, they got a situation that's arranged. You do what you do down in the pulpit, down to the Atlanta. I don't care if you spray the whole congregation. As long as you are taking care of me, I don't care. So that's one possibility, okay? Possibility number two is the whole thing is a sham anyway, and so whatever Monique is saying don't even matter. Because here's the thing, and this is where I fault Andy for not knowing enough about his franchises, okay? Here's the thing. If he had known anything about about Potomac and Jamal and Gizelle, he would know that these stories had been out about Jamal for quite some time. Now, who am I to validate whether or not they are true? But there are plenty of people out there who have made it their business to do so, okay? And the fact of the matter is, a simple Google search would lead anyone down the path of understanding why people think the things that they think about this man, okay? And to me, it is still shocking and surprising that he is the pastor of a church, especially after Pastor Petty got up on the live last week, opened up a binder upside down to try to tell the world, okay, that all these situations, actually he didn't even deny anything. That's the other thing about this whole situation. He ain't denied nothing. He didn't even really give us any answers. The most that he did was try to discredit this woman who it is alleged that he has been with for 8 years, okay? Now, if you guys want more of that information, go visit Larry Reed's page real quick. Do your due diligence and do some research, Andy. It's right there. The evidence is out there. It's out there for your consumption, okay? Next, let's keep it moving. So we get the ladies coming back from break. You know, Gizelle and Robyn have gotten together to discredit Monique and her binder, okay? Robyn comes back from lunch late, looking the exact same as she did before. Now, I can see if she has sat in the chair, okay, and got a bumper curl like Ashley did, because, you know, when we get back from break, Ashley's bumper curl is right there again, okay? So obviously, she had gotten a tight coil while she was in the back, okay? Now, Robyn come back looking the same, but still late. Now, that bothers me about people who are late, who are perpetually late. When you come back late, I'm gonna need you to look dramatically different, okay? When you come to an event late and you late all the time, I'm gonna need you to show up in some fashions that are worthy of having spent a lot of time preparing for. But if you come back looking the exact same, or if you come in your same type of uniform, that irks my soul and it irks my spirit, and I'm sure it irks the rest of the ladies too. And how is it the person that is bringing the least to this franchise is always the person who is the latest? I don't understand it, okay? Meanwhile, the Ashley package is ready to go. We see Wendy talking about Ashley being broke. I ain't really like that too much, because quiet as it's kept, I mean, girl, you got some student loan debt, what the streets say. Anyway, we get to Michael allegedly cheating, and Ashley lets us know that the lady did not want to have any type of relations with Michael once they got back to the room. She probably thought better of the situation. Okay, and so then apparently she wanted money for her payment, because the lady obviously was doing the street walking work at night, okay? And so when Michael, I don't know if Michael paid up or he didn't pay up. I don't know what he did or what he did not do, but all we know is that she said that they did not have relations while they was in that hotel room together. Woo! I call BS on that one. I got to call BS on that one. It ain't too many times that somebody gonna enter a hotel room with a complete stranger and not come out with a happy ending of some sort, okay? So I just want you to rethink that, Ashley, and you might want to rethink that postnup, because we learned that she did not ask for the postnup, and I think she just dismissed the prenup. If I'm correct, am I correct? Somebody let me know in the comment section down below that I understand that correctly. Anyway, Ashley says she understands Michael's indiscretions because when they were on a break, he forgave her for having some type of fun while they was on their break or whatever. And so then we get to an interesting question about Miss Katie Ross. Okay, Katie Ross is brought up and she wasn't even there. She wasn't even a part of this season, but yet they still are here talking about her. But it is for good reason though, because Andy wants to know if Katie Ross and Ashley Darby hooked up. Now, I'm going to go ahead and tell y'all, because it's already out there. Katie Ross has been very open on her social media about her experiences with other women, okay? Very open, not necessarily with who, and that is Katie's business to tell, and I won't reveal it here. However, the information is out there in case anybody wants to know, and this is what I will say about this. It's very interesting and telling to me because the rest of the ladies, I am sure, know exactly who it was that Katie allegedly hooked up with, okay? And it's so funny to me how Gizelle, who is normally the first to spew any and everybody's business, was not willing to open her mouth in one slight second about who this person was. Now, again, I'm not here to tell you guys who it was, but a quick Google search will tell you exactly who it is alleged to be. However, that is their story to tell and not mine, okay? Anyway, Ashley says it wasn't her. We get to the cheating scandal, okay? We talk about that. Then Andy asks about Jamal and Gizelle and Karen. So here's the thing. Karen is asked what she thinks about Michael and Ashley. She wants them to work it out for the kids. She's also asked about Jamal and Gizelle. And she says, you know what? I want what's best for her. I just want it to be real, okay? So they get into a little tit for tat, go back and forth, okay? The cameraman pic comes up from where apparently Michael was allegedly grabbing the cameraman in the boot, in the behind, okay? And so Ashley's like, well, that man calls Michael Zaddy, okay? And we're all like, what? Now, here's the thing. I'm going to go ahead and tell you the truth. Do I think she was lying about that? Probably not. However, it don't look too good for him to be shown on camera with some footage of Michael grabbing his behind, okay, while they working. Now, he might be play calling him daddy. I don't know. But what I do know is in that footage, the way it looks is like that man was surprised and did not like what he got, okay? Not on that day. So he was not in the mood for Zaddy on that day, okay? And that's just that. And he has a right to say no when no means no, okay? Now, I just want to make a little side note here. Candiace has a whole lot to say under her breath about any and everybody. And so sometimes I just have a hard time wondering, is Candiace a villain or a victim? We get a Karen package, okay? And Gizelle and Ashley agree that Karen is much more light and free these days, okay? Drunk Karen loves a fireball. And I don't know why. I am very disturbed by this. Let me tell you something. I just got to tell y'all this. Fireball is, if you want an immediate hangover, okay, and Karen, I think you learned this the hard way, you will get an immediate hangover on the Fireball. At least I do, okay? Let me rephrase that. I will get an immediate hangover off the Fireball. So I don't even know who or why Karen will want to drink this madness, okay? Get you some Don Julio 1942 or something like that, Karen. We got to get you off this Fireball. You are too fabulous for this, okay? Anyway, Robyn is like, why were you so dismissive of me when I asked you about, the Fireball? And Karen says, I wasn't dismissive, I was hungover. Exhibit A. See what I'm saying? Okay. Andy says, I have a question for you. Do you have a disdain for Ray's D? Okay. And Karen says, I think that's a disgusting question. As you should, Karen, as you should. Now, we get into a discussion about the ladies, becoming famous and making more money. And then it's asked to Monique how that works with her making more money. And Monique is like, oh, that little check ain't doing nothing for me. I'm putting that back into my business. My husband's money makes him more money, okay? And here's the thing. Andy seemed to be in shock and disbelief that Kris could dare to have so much invested that his money would actually pay him back, okay? It's called dividends. It's called stocks and options. That's what it's called, Andy. And yes, us black people, we's got them too. We's got them too, okay? So here's the thing. We get to Wendy. Andy says, Wendy, you had a lot of questions about Karen's sex life. Wendy says, I had two. Get it right, okay? And then she says,
I just don't believe in talking about relations, okay?
And Ashley and Monique are like, well, that's all we talk about in this group. I'm like, girl, you are really in the wrong group here if you're not willing to get down with the get down and have some little kink conversations. Have you not seen a Housewives show before? I mean, you ain't too good for that, girl. Come on, get out of here with that. Get out of here with that. She came across really, really self-righteous in this episode and much of this reunion in general. And I like Wendy. I actually really like Wendy. I really do. I just want to preface you guys with that. I like Wendy. I do. But I think Wendy just has some flaws when it comes to, how she responds to things sometimes, because I would think that she wants to appear to be holier than thou. That's how it comes across to me. But that's just me. But I like her. Okay? Anyway. We get, Andy asking more questions about Karen being her real self. And I'm like, why are you going so hard at her? I mean, to me, it seems as though, yes, Karen has evolved. She even told me that when we had our conversation. But interestingly enough, Karen says that Gizelle is jealous because she hasn't evolved. And it seems very true. I think Karen, her first couple of seasons on the show, it was like Karen did a lot of double speak. You know what I'm saying? She would double talk and double speak and talk herself into a circle. I feel like Gizelle did that this reunion when asked any questions about Jamal. She started double speaking, double talking, and not really answering things in a way that was very truthful or very authentic. But that's just me. All right, so here is where we get into the plot. Now, the plot, as we know, is this heinous attempt to say that Monique Samuel's youngest baby, Chase, is not Kris Samuel's biological son, and they were trying to make it seem as though it was the trainer's baby, okay? This heinous plot was brought on by, apparently, Monique's ex-best friend and given to Charisse, who then gave it to Gizelle, who then wanted to bring it to the show, allegedly, okay? According to Candiace, that is, right? Karen lets us know that Candiace called her and told her that Gizelle was trying to bring this to the show. Monique ends up telling us also that Gizelle actually did say it in her confessional, but it was edited out of the show, most likely because they realized how egregious this rumor actually was, okay? Now, here's the thing. Gizelle acted surprised in that moment, but I absolutely 110% do believe that she did probably say this. And I do believe that this is one of the things that, to me, this is where we get to the point in reality TV that it becomes a little bit disgusting. And honestly, I have to say to you guys that it is really disappointing to watch these women try so hard to break down someone's family for the sake of creating a reality television storyline. And it is shameful that Candiace, who sat there and listened to this happen, is now going so hard for the women who once tried to do this to her former not best friend, but her former friend. And I don't understand why she doesn't think for 1 second that if it's not Monique next season, it's going to be you and Chris Bassett. Mark my words. Mark my absolute words right now. It's going to be Candiace and Chris at some point in time. Mark my words. Anyway, we get this whole situation coming down with Candiace versus Monique. And we get a clip of Robyn saying that Monique doesn't want people gossiping about her because she doesn't want people talking about her marriage. Now, of course she wouldn't want someone talking about her marriage. Who does? Do you want people talking about your marriage? I know you don't want the streets to talk about your marriage. So why would anybody want anybody else to talk about their own? You need to be worried about the D in your house, okay? And why he not there with you, all right? We get into a discussion about the altercation, okay? We see that Gizelle actually put her, and I gotta tell you guys this. Let me go ahead and preface this conversation with this notion. I have no desire to break down the chronology or the blow by blow of this altercation. And to me, it's so funny to hear Andy say, we at Bravo don't condone this, but yet you continue to show the incident happen time and time again. Not only this instance, but other instances as well that have occurred in the history of Housewives franchises. So to me, it's just funny to hear that being said, Because let's just call a thing a thing. If you're gonna show it because the ratings are gonna be good, let's just call it that. That's just that. It is what it is. It is what it is at the end of the day. But like, let's not play that game, right? So anyway, you know, we get into a discussion about what triggered Monique. Okay, Monique says it's when Candiace's hand does that. Gizelle, it didn't happen. Candiace, it didn't happen. Wendy, it didn't happen. Robyn, it didn't happen. Andy, it didn't happen. The footage shows it happened, okay? It's like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? This is the example of gaslighting that I was talking to you guys about earlier. You're trying to tell this woman that it did not happen when she knows that it did, and the footage corroborates that. And then, thank God for the editors, because they actually dared to actually prove them wrong, okay? So then, Monique says, and Candiace was tossing the broken glass around. Andy, it didn't happen. There's no footage that supports that. Gizelle, it didn't happen. Candiace, it didn't happen. Wendy, it didn't happen. Robyn, it didn't happen. Andy, there's no wine glass being tossed. Producer footage shows it was a wine glass being tossed. It was a wine glass being tossed and waved around. Now what? Now what? So Andy, how do you get on Watch What Happens Live and then say it didn't happen? Are we watching the same show? I need you to go back and review your tapes, bro. Go back and review the tapes. It's right there in plain English. Black and white. Color, if you will. Okay? Now, when Candiace is asked about the fight, cue the tears. She's literally crying her eyelashes off. And she's saying, I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. And Monique is like, well, can I say something? And Candiace is like,
No! It's my moment! My moment now!
no! I don't want to hear what you have to say. I'm not done yet, okay? So, cue Gizelle.
Well, mental trauma is a very big deal, and how dare people tell Candiace when to get over something?
In the same breath, Andy's like, well, Monique, why aren't you upset? Why are you so stoic? Why aren't you moving? Why aren't you in tears? Here's the thing, okay? This happened over a year ago. Why would she still be upset by this? Why? Riddle me that. Why is it that in this year, could she not have taken the time to get over it? The same way, if people want to say to Candiace, if people can't say to Candiace to get over it, you can't tell Monique to be emotional about something that she just ain't emotional about at this moment. I mean, what's she supposed to do? At the end of the day, here's the thing too. We have seen Candiace cry about 18 out of the 19 episodes of this season. So after a while, those same tears don't move us anymore, okay? No one is moved by them, right? Because we've seen it so many times. We're desensitized to it, right? It's like if a person keeps crying wolf, how many more times are we supposed to believe that there's a wolf there when there hasn't been a wolf there before, okay? If we had seen Gizelle break down and cry, that would be different. That would be different because we've not seen that, right? But the fact of the matter is, that's crying is Candiace's thing. So why would Monique be emotional about seeing her cry for the 1,000th time? Everyone has seen it before. And then furthermore, let's take it a step further. Why would she be emotional about someone who has been making little digs at her the entire reunion under her breath, okay? Thinking that or probably knowing that she could be heard. Why would I have sympathy for her in that moment? It's like they were trying to browbeat her into submission and to saying she's upset about something that she's not. I did not like that at all. You know, if you're gonna let Candiace have that moment to cry and wipe her eyes and run off the stage, you can't expect somebody else to be as emotional as her, okay? And I gotta say this, you know, Monique, I personally, I don't know if I were you, if I would go back to this show, because ultimately what we saw to last night was a horrible display of gaslighting from the powers that be. Okay, And what I mean by that is the alliance that's clearly formed between Gizelle, Robyn, Wendy, and Candiace, right? And it's disappointing to me that Andy went right along with it. But thank God the production footage showed otherwise, because otherwise the audience would not have been treated to the truth. And I just have to say this to end it on one note. You know, in the preview, we see Robyn screaming about how she's glad Juan Dixon wasn't there. To do what? To do what? To do what? Defend you? The biggest moment that you've had on this franchise, and this man can't even be bothered enough to show up for you, to support you in this moment, is very telling. And actually, what's even funnier about this is the fact that all of the husbands who had them and significant others who had the most to account for aren't even there.